Hey guys, welcome back to my channel today. I will have the pleasure of creating another tutorial for you guys using the Tarte Tarteist Pro Palette. What I was able to create was actually what I consider to be kind of a dramatic fall look. I love creating fall looks. And when I looked at the shades in this palette, fall just jumped out at me. But what's so cool about the palette is that you don't only have to do like a fall look. So the palette itself retails for about 50 bucks, a little bit more. It's got 16 matte shadows and then 4 shimmer shades on the side. And there's this gorgeous one at the very bottom called Trendy. Trendy looks like a duochrome shade, similar to what Makeup Geek creates. In fact, I believe that she's got a shadow that is similar to this one. The basis of it is kind of a green, and then as it reflects you see hints of purple, even a little bit of red. And I love that because if you were traveling with this palette, you could go very simple and very basic. Whether you kept it all matte, you could amp it up with one of the shimmer shades that was a little bit subtle, kind of golden or silverish, or you could just go flat out dramatic and you could go with this. I feel like in the Tarteist Pro palette, nothing is missing, which is always what I'm looking for when it comes to a palette. I don't care how fancy you get with your shades, I need all the basics. And so there's some brow highlights, there's some crease shades, it goes from matte, like I said, to shimmer, there's browns and there's purples, there's a great black. I think every shadow palette should have a black. I put up a pitch, as in picture, recently on Instagram where I showed a snapshot of all of the shadows. I asked you guys if you wanted to see a tutorial with it and you guys said yes. That's awesome. So enough chit chat, let's get into the tutorial. So I've already done the rest of my face and I've left my eyes for last with the exception of mascara and liner, which I will complete at the very end. Every product that I used already I will link in the description box below. So now back to the palette. When I was thinking about what kind of look to create with this palette, there were 2 shades that really drew me in and kind of spoke to me. The first shade is this golden shimmer called Ethereal, and then there was this other cranberry looking shade called Maud, and it totally said fall to me, and I love the complement of gold with cranberry. It's both a cool and a warm look combined, and so that's what I'm headed towards today, and then we'll see how it turns out. So I'm going to start with my transition shade in the crease. I'm going to be using this shade called Innocent right here. It's just it's a warm kind of pinky brown. And I think it'll work really well to complement this look because it's got a little bit of pink in it, which will complement the purple, but it's also overall very warm, which is really what I always enjoy in my crease. Next, I'm gonna take a fluffy crease brush, but smaller than the original brush that I used. I'm gonna go with this mid-tone purple shade right here that's called No Filter. So I wanna deepen my crease with it, but I don't want it to be too dramatic. And so I feel like this is a really good mid-tone sort of purple. Again, sticking to the crease area and not drowning out the shade that I just applied. So really not going above my crease area. So now I'm gonna take that cranberry color Maud and I'm gonna take a very small kind of outer crease brush. And I'm gonna go in gently first because these are pretty pigmented. I'm gonna go in very gently first and then intensify if I need to. But I'm definitely focusing on the outer peak, the outer corner of my eye. If you get a little crazy with red tone shadows, you can kind of look like a Halloween costume, so you gotta be a little bit careful. And again, I'm gonna go back in with a blending brush and kind of blend that guy out. I'm gonna bring him across my lid as well as up into the crease, just to kind of get that color to kind of wash all over everywhere. I'm gonna take the same outer corner brush and I'm gonna go in with Drama, which is very drama filled. It is a very dark, intense, kind of eggplanty purple. I'm not gonna override Maud, which was the cranberry, but I am just gonna poke it out on the very end. I wanna add a little dimension out there without getting rid of the cranberry, and I don't wanna add more of the Maud cranberry because again, I tend to look sick with too much cranberry. I always tell you guys that less is more because it's so much harder to undo when you've done too much. So I do want to go back in with Maud, that cranberry color again, and I want to bring him a little bit closer towards the center of my eye as I realize kind of where I want my look to go. And the cranberry is not pulling so red, so I think it's in the safe zone. So I like how those two shades are giving me a nice gradient of color, but now I want to go in with that gorgeous ethereal, that gold shimmer here. I'm going to take a very small, I'm going to go back to my MAC 242, which is what I live by for my lids. I'm going to try not to override too much all of the purple shades that I've already applied, but I will do a little crossover because again, it just makes the blending so much easier. You can even go a little bit crazier and wet your brush down with like MAC Fix Plus or some eye drops, and that will further intensify the reflectiveness of this shade. But I am loving this gold color. Sometimes you can go totally wrong with a gold shade, and they, I think, hit the mark on this one. More blending. I'm gonna highlight my brow bone now. There are two options. I mean, you could highlight with a purple if you wanted to, but typically and generally speaking, there are two options. This top one is called Classic, which is kind of a creamy brow bone highlighter white, and the one underneath it is called Vintage, and it's actually much whiter. So I am definitely gonna go in with Classic because that's what I want it to be. I just don't want it to be too white since the look is very warm, and my transition shade, and holy cow, this is so pigmented. My transition shade is definitely a warm brown, and I don't like there to be too much contrast. I'm gonna take another small pencil brush and I'm going to put to use another one of the shimmer shades. It's below ethereal, it's called Glam. What I wanna do with it is I do wanna highlight the inner corner of my eye. Taking the same shade, I'm going to highlight the very peak of my brow and take it really no further than that. I'm gonna take the black shade of the palette. It's called Punk. They might as well just name them all black. It's pretty obvious that they're black. I'm gonna line along my lash line on the upper portion of my lash. I'm gonna take my e.l.f. $1 concealer brush and I'm gonna go back in with Drama, which was the darker but not quite mid-tone and not the darkest purple here, and I am going to line my lower lash line. This was the shade that I used to complement the Mod Cranberry on the outer corner of my eye, and so now I'm just bringing it down and around. I am going to go finish my mascara and then I will show you the completed look. So that completes my dramatic fall look using the new Tarteist Pro Palette. If you liked this video and felt like you learned a little something, then please help support my channel by giving it a thumbs up. And if you're not one of my subscribers, I invite you to be, and so please subscribe before you go. Thank you so much for watching. Have a really great rest of the day, and in the meantime, thanks.
Next I'm going to take another kind of fluffy crease brush. I'm going to take a very small pencil brush and I'm going to put to use